Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, Narrator Noman. Education gives us knowledge and a set of abilities to function meaningfully in life, such as the ability to decide things rationally and make the right choice. As we learn how to read with and to the basic operation of arithmetics, we gain a degree of self-confidence. We learn to think for ourselves and articles, article, articulate our thoughts. We pick up a skill to communicate with others and manage our affairs well. Education helps us think independently and make our own opinions. As we know more about the world, we appreciate the good things it offers us but also become critical of the deviation from the values it imparts and the risk of, of hurt or conflict the flowers. The first thing education does is to give us an awareness about ourselves, which leads to the development of our personality. As we begin school, we feel the need to belong to the class and make friends. We then expand our sense of belonging to include the school at large, our community, and finally our country. Education those prefers every child to become an active member of the community and work for its welfare. Education, it is believed, relays our potentials and our inner strengths. It sharpens our intellect and develops our creativity as we are taught to reason well and find solutions to the problems of life. We become productive members of society. Education, by definition, is progressive and liberal, teaching us to respect human diversity and culture and religions difference. If all of us praise these dash values in life, the world become a much happier place. Education also fosters critical thinking and provides us a set of competencies, including life skills that enable us to become competitive even in the most challenging of circumstances. Education also teaches us to appreciate beauty and the bounties of nature. School, however, is not the only place where a child gets education. A Bangla poem tells us that nature can be our best teacher. Here are a couple of lines from the poem in English translation. The sky has taught me to be liberal. The wind has given me to motto to be industrious. If we can make nature our friends, philosopher and guide, we can learn lesson about life that, combined with what our school teaches us, will prepare us for the future. Education and values. Education not only embraces us with knowledge, abilities, and skill, it also teaches us values. Values can be individual, interpersonal, organizational, or social. Those students receiving good education develop self-respect but also learn to respect others. They know the importance of honesty and learn to trust others. They develop compassion and fellow feeling, and become aware of the need to protect the environment. If students combine the values they learn at home with those that the school gives them, they will not divide from the right path unless they fall into bad company. The famous Friends with Victor Hugo once said, "He who opens a school door closes a prison." Below are a couple of stories about values that we must cherish. Read the stories and find out why these values are important and in our lives. Do you think you also possess these values? If so, where did you learn them? An old man walked along the beach until he came across a young boy throwing something into the breaking waves. Upon closer inspection, the old man could see the boy was tossing a standard starfish from the sandy beach back into the ocean. Ocean. What are you doing, young man? He asked. If the starfish are still on the beach when the sun rises, they will die, so I am throwing them into the water, the boy answered. This is ridiculous. There are 100 miles of bees and thousands of starfish. It doesn't matter how many you throw in. You cannot make a difference. It matters to this one, the boy said, as, as he threw another starfish into the waves. He told the old man, and it matters to this one too. Finding happiness. Once a group of 50 people were attending a seminar. At one stage, the speaker decided to do a group activity to illustrate a point he was making. He gave a balloon to each attendee. Each one was asked to read his name on it using a maker pen. He then collected all the balloons and put them in another room. He then took all the attendants to the room and asked them to find the balloon with their name within 5 minutes. Everyone practically searched for the balloon with their name colliding with each other. Pushing around other and there was water source. At the end of 5 minutes, no one could, could find their own balloon. Now the speaker asked each one to randomly collect a balloon and give it to the person whose name was written on it. Within minutes, everyone had their own balloon. The speaker then began. This is happening in our lives. Everyone is practically looking for happiness, not knowing where it is. Our happiness lies in the happiness of other people. Give them their happiness, you will get your own happiness. And this is the purpose of human life, the pursuit of happiness. Education aims to bring about positive change in our behavior. It helps us try to change our lives as well as the society we live in. Education that doesn't illuminate our minds or doesn't inspire us to work for the community is not complete at all. Education is not all about getting grades or receiving certificates. We use education to make life better. We are expected to apply the knowledge, skill, and values that we learn in a classroom in our engagement with the world that lies outside. And we can do so in many different ways. Let's have a look at how education works. Learners' civic engagement is highly appreciated all over the world. Civic engagement means working to make a difference in the civic life, the public life of the citizens, as contrast with private or personal life of the community using knowledge, skills, values, and motivation. Civic engagement promotes the quality of life in community by contributing to the improvement of health and well-being of the people. Civically engaged individuals recognize themselves as members of a larger social community and are concerned about civic issues. They consider themselves responsible citizens who take action or raise their voice against injustice, discrimination, and other forms of social ills. In civic engagement, issues of public concern are crucial. Civic engagement includes individual or group activities to protect public interest and change the way the community values itself. For example, if you are protesting against any unjust decision of the local municipality, such as rising tax or an act that might work against people's interest, you are civically engaged and your action is considered as civic engagement. This protest can be done in different ways such as organizing rallies, collecting signatures, making human sense, writing petitions, etc. Then you can also help control traffic in front of a school, help children to cross the roads, work in a team to, to clean a park or a beach. You can also give some service to elderly people. These are all example of civic engagement as what you do directly affects the community. When civic engagement is a part of an academic program and the learns engagement is assessed, assessed following a scale, then it is called service learning. It involves the application of knowledge and skills learned in the classroom and then making a complete plan of action. Preparing a bongate, starting the process of engagement is spontaneous, but irregular and not a part of any academic program. It is considered voluntarism. Famous Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie came to Bangladesh as a United Nations High Commission for Refugees as, as a special envoy to express her solidarity with the Rohingya refugees in February 2019. She visited the refugees in their camps and talked to them and spent time with some children in their school. She came to know about the atrocities the Rohingya refugees had faced in their village in the Arakan state of Myanmar. Visiting the world's largest refugee settlement, Mrs. Jolie called for exam- expanded access to education for Rohingya children. Afterwards, she, she urged for an to injustice that had driven nearly 1 million Rohingyas into Bangladesh, exile in Bangladesh. Addressing the refugees in the camp, the UNICEF special envoy said, I want to say I am humbled and proud to stand with you today. You have every right to live in security, to be free to practice your religion and to coexist with people of other faiths and ethnicities. You have every right not be stateless, and the way you have been treated shames us all. A group of college students were watching television news in their hostel. They were touched by the plight of the flood affected people in Sunamganj. All the rivers and water bodies there had overflowed their banks because of the onrush of flood water from the hills beyond our border. Their homes, huts, hazards, shops, and crop lands were under several feet of water. The local administration had res- rescued the people and accommodated them in schools that were on higher grounds. Villagers in the nearby areas were helping these people in all possible ways. Youth ensuring drinking water, cleanliness, and hygiene was a big challenge. The schools had toilets, but these were clearly not enough. Seeing this situation, Ahmed, Shafon, Rakib, and Niladri quickly decided to go to Sunamganj and work for the flood victims. But to do that, they needed money, which they did not have. They began by filing their own contribution and dealt with their classmates, teachers, and local lawmakers and civil society members for assistance. Everyone came forward to help them. Some some guardians have also contributed. Their collection was not bad about take Tilak with which the could private some substantial help to the flood victims. They could buy dry food like rice, protein, biscuit, gourd, sira, drinking water, water purification tables, toilet cleaners, and liquid shops. Their, their priority was senior citizens who are over 70 years of age and children. They stayed there for more than a week and then came back after government engaged to over and some flood affected people start going back home. When the four friends were back in their town, they seem to have lost some weight, but were happy and satisfied that their efforts had been immensely rewarded. Alex, an 11-year-old boy from California, was watching TV at home with friends when he came across the news of severe winter weather condition in a remote town in Romania. The news that many people in the town had no proper heating in their homes and were facing serious health hazard made the boy upset. He compared the comfort he was enjoying in his nicely heated house and the distressing condition the Romanian people were in and felt ashamed. He thought their eyes looked so vacant and lifeless. Alex was not an outgoing boy in his school and mostly kept to himself. Teachers were worried about how the introvert how would do in the exams. The students were supposed to do something for the community in whatever ways possible, and their involvement was to be continually monitored and accessed. Super Alex hadn't been able to set, set any example of doing something for his community. So when he came to his teacher with a video clip of the news report and Romanian town, the teacher was surprised how calm she thought, but she became incre- increasingly attentive as Alex presented his case. The boy was very emotional when he said, "We must do something for these people, the kinds are like us. We cannot live here in comfort, leaving them in such disgrace." Alex Pira trusted the teacher. She wanted to know what he had planned. He told her that he had told to others in the class and they all would like to donate a month of their pocket money of these poor fellows to save their lives. The teacher then guided the class to take up a project. The boys, with the help of the teacher, worked in out. They contact the local municipality in the Romania town and expressed at interest to work for them. They also contact their own lawmakers who also contributed to their fund. Then a small team led by the teacher went to Romania. They spent a couple of weeks with the people, helped them find heating in their houses, supply them with sufficient blankets and food. The school's authority monitored the whole process from the first to last. They warmly welcomed the back. Everyone was proud of the student who had made and carried out their own plane, helped the people on their need, stood beside them to give mental and emotional support, and came back home as young heroes. Bangladesh is blessed with high inland open water resources. It has numerous rivers, canals, beaches, lakes, and vast area of flood plains. Hakaluki, Hakaluki Har is one of the major wetlands of Bangladesh with a hand area of 80,386 hectares. It supports a rich biodiversity and provides direct and indirect livelihood benefits to nearly 1,090,000 people. Their error were declared an ecologically critical area in April 1999 by the government of Bangladesh. Halaluki is a complex ecosystem containing more than 238 interconnected beaches and jalmahols. The most important beaches are Satla, Finlarkona, Dula, Sakua, Barazala, Balijuri, Lamba, Tekunia, Haukal, Avantural, and Bengalpuri and Sinura. Hakaluki Heror is bounded by the Kushira rivers as well as streets of the Shunai, Shunai Varda river of the north by the Trans Transhogons Kulura railway line to the west and to the south, and by the Kalura Kalura Benibajar road to the east. The hair falls under two administrative direct, directs, administrative districts, Molobibajar and Sylhet. Some 190,000 people live in the area surrounding the horror. My name is Americo. I am 30 years old and I live on the street alone. My mother, who is separated from my father, doesn't want me. She told me to go away. Now she is married to another man. My father lives very far away. I want to go to him, but he would not take me either. I begged him to send me some money so that I could buy a bus ticket. I am still waiting. He has not answered. The street are now my home. Sometimes I find work. I used to collect trust and sell it to a vendor. I stopped doing that after I had a serious infection and a doctor told me to stay away from the trust dump. Once I worked for an ice cream shop owner and sold ice cream on the beach, but I got no money in return. The owner of the shop gave me something to eat and let me sleep in his hut at night. The work was difficult and painful. The ice cream box is quite heavy when it is full. I had to walk for hours offering my ice cream to whoever wanted to buy. There were days when I could not even sell one ice cream in a in a way. I am lucky because I am alive. My friends who work sorting rubbish in dumps often suffer from serious diseases. One of them was recently killed after he fell into a hole that opened off in the pile of trash. Many of us work for 10 to 12 hours and get so little in return that we cannot even buy food. So, singing is very popular among the kids. If a few of my friends also work in factories and workshops. A boy I know lost one of his eyes after a piece of hot glass fell into his eye at the glass factory where he worked. The owner refused to pay for medical help and fired him. For me, like all other children, আমার জন্য, for me, আমার জন্য, like all other children on the street, it is very hard. এটি খুবই কঠিন. I am always hungry. আমি খুবই ক্ষুধার্ত. And I do not know where I will sleep the next night. I would like to live in my own home and sleep there in peace. The nights are very cold in their winter. শীতের সময় রাতে আমার অনেক গরম লাগে. You can die of cold in the street. The mother in Manville. Marjorie Finan Rawlings was born on August 8, 1896 in Washington, D.C. A writer from an early age, she won a prize of two for a short story published in the Washington Post in 1907. She, attend, she attended the University of Wisconsin, where she received her Bachelor of Arts degree in English. She married Carl, she married Carles Rawlings, also a writer. The couple moved to York, New York, where they worked as journalists for various newspapers. In 1933, the couple divorced. In 1941, she married Norton, Norton Baskin, a hotel owner from Street Augustine, Flor- Florida, and lived with him until her death in 1953. Rawlings was considered a writer of local or regional literature, which focused on a particular geographical setting of rural southern USA. Although her stories are based on the seemingly simple lives of rural people, her themes are universal. Rawlings contributed to read until her death. From a cerebral home, home, cerebral hemorrhage on December 19, 1953. Hemorrhage. The orphanage is high in the Carolina Mountains. I was there in the autumn. I wanted quiet isolation to do some troublesome writing. I wanted mountain air to blow out the malaria from too long a time in the subtropics. Subtropics. I was homesick to for the flaming of mayflies in October and for corn shocks and pumpkin and black walnut trees. I found them all living in a cabin that belonged to the orphanage. Half a mile beyond the orphanage farm. When I took the cabin, I asked for a boy or man to come and shove wood for the fireplace. I looked off from my typewriter one late afternoon, a little stirred. A boy stood at the door, and my pointer dog, my companion, was at his side and had not barked to warn me. The boy was probably 12, 12 years old but undersized. He, he wore overalls and a torn shirt, and was barefooted. He said, I can show, I can shop some wood today. But you are a small size doesn't matter. Shopping wood, he said. Some of the big boys do not shop goat. I have been shopping wood at the orphanage a long time. Very well, there's the X. Go ahead and see what you can do. I went back to work, closing the door. He began to shove the blows wire Artemis, and steady and shortly I had forgotten him. The sound no more of an interruption than a consistent wind. I suppose an an hour and I held fast and I heard the boy's steps on the cabin stove. The boy said, I have to go to super now. He said, I can come again tomorrow. I said, I all fair you now for what you have done, thinking I should probably have to insist on an older boy. We went together back of the cabin. An astonishing amount of soiled wood had been carved. But you have done as much as a man. I said, this is a, a splendid file. I looked at him actually for the first time. His hair was the color of the corn shocks, and his eyes, very direct, were like the mountain escape. When rain is fading grey, with with a shadowing of that miraculous blow, I gave him a quarter. You may come tomorrow afternoon, I said, and thank you very much. He looked at me and at the coin and seemed to want to speak but could not and turned away. At the light I was half wakened by the sound of shopping. Again it was so even in texture that I went back to sleep. When I left my bed in the cool morning, the boy had gone at a, and a stalk of kindling was neat against the cabin wall. He came after school in the afternoon and worked until time to return to the orphanage. His name was Jerry. He had been at the orphanage since he was four. Could picture him at four with the same grey blue eyes and the same independence. No, the word that comes to me is a in, integrity. It is bitter on course, but it is more than brave. It is honest, but it is more than honesty. The axe handle broke and dead. Jerry the wood shop the said the wood shop at the orphanage would repair it. I bought money to pay for the job and the refuse it. I all pay for it. He said I broke it. I brought I brought the axe down careless, but no one hits. A quarterly very time I told him the fault was in the wood of the handle. I all see the man from whom I bought in. It was only then that he would take the money. He was standing back of his own cab. Listens, he was a free will agent and he saw us to do careful work. And if he failed, he took the responsibility without subterfuge. And he did for me the unnecessary things, the, the gracious thing that we find done only by the great of heart. Things no training can teach, for they are done on the instant, with no predicated experience. He found a cubbyhole beside the fireplace that I had not noticed. There, of his own accord, he fought kindling, kindling and medium wood, so that I might always have dry fire material ready in case of sudden wet weather. A stone was lost in the raw walk to the cabin. He dug deeper hole and steadied it, steadied it. Although he came himself by shortcut over the bank, I found that when I tried to return his thoughtfulness with such things as candy and apples, he was artless. Thank you was perhaps an expression for which he had he had no use, for it is courtesy was instinctive. Instinctive. He only looked at the fight and at me, and curtain lifted, lift, so that I saw deep into the clear well of his eyes, and gratitude was there, and affection soft over the fine gra- grain of his character. He became intimate, of course, with my pointed fate. There is a strange communion between a boy and a dog. Perhaps the possess the same singlessness of speech, the same kind of wisdom. It is difficult to explain, but it exists. When I went across the state for a weekend, I left the dog in Jerry's house. My return was belated and fog filled. The mountain passes so thesaurously, thesaurously that it was Monday. It was Monday noon before I reached the cabin. The dog had been fed and cared for that morning. Jerry came early in the afternoon, anxious. The the super, the superintendent said nobody would drive in the fog. He said, I came last night and you had not come. So I brought but some of my breakfast. This morning I would not have let anything happen to him. I gave him $1 in payment, and he looked at it and went away. But that night he came in the darkness and knocked at the door. knocked at the door. "Come in, Jerry," he said. If you if you are always to be away this late." "I told maybe a story," he said. "I told them I thought you would want to see me want to see me." "That's true," I assured him, and I saw his relief. "I want to hear about how you managed with the dog," he said. "By the first fire with me," and told me of their 2 days together. The dog lay close to him and found a comfort there that I did not have for him. "He stayed right with me," he told me, "except when he ran in the laurel. There was a place where the grass was high, and I lay down in it and hid. I could hear Fat hunting for me. When he found me, he acted crazy, and he ran and around me in we watched the flames. "That's an apple log," he said. "It burns the protist of any oath. We were very close." He was suddenly inflamed to speak. "He looked a little bit like my mother," he said, "especially in the dark by the fire. But you were only 4, Jerry. When you came here, you have remembered how she looked at all these years. My mother's lives in Manville," he said. সে বলল আমার মা বসবাস করে ম্যানভিলে। For a moment finding that he had a mother shocked me. I did not know why it disturbed me. Then I understood my disgrace. I was filled with a passionate resentment that any woman should go away and leave her son. A son like this one. The orphanage was a wholesome place. The food was more than adequate. The boys were healthy, grand perhaps. That the boy felt no lack. What blood fat. The the boils of a woman who did not yearn over the sides, large body that had come in patriotism out of our own. Patriotism out of her own. Have you seen her, Jerry, lately? I asked. I see her every summer. She sends for me. I wanted to cry out, "Why are you not with her? How can she let you go away again?" He said, "She comes of her from Manville. Whenever she can, she doesn't have a job now." His face shone in the firelight. "She wanted to give me a puppy, but they cannot let any one by keep a puppy." You remember the sweet I had no last Sunday. He was plainly proud. She sent me that for Christmas. The Christmas before that, he drew a long breath. Savoring the memory, she sent me a pair of skates. I let the other boys use them, but they are careful of them. Careful of them. What discriminates another than poverty? I am going to take the dollar you gave me for taking care of art, he said, and buy her a pair of gloves. I hated her, poverty or not. There was other food than bread, and the soul could escape as quickly as the body. He was taking his dollar to buy gloves for her big, stupid hands, and she lived away from him in Manville and content herself with sanding with skates. She likes white gloves. He said, "Do you think I can get them for $1?" "I think so," I said. And after my first fury at her, we did not speak of her again. His having a mother any sort at all relieved me of the ace I had about him. We was not lonely. It was none of my concern. He came every day and cut my wood and did a small helpful favors and started to tell the dares and become cold. And, and often I let him come inside the cabin. He would lie on the floor in front of the fire with one arm across the pointer, and they would both toss and wait quickly for me. Other days they rain with a common es- escapes. Brought the laurel and he bought me back vermilion maple leaves and kiss not boots driving with emerald yellow. I was ready to go. I said to him, "You have been my friend Jerry. I still often think of you and miss you. But will miss you too. I am leaving tomorrow." He did not answer, and I watched him go in silence up the hill. I expected him the next day, but he did not come. I closed the cabin and started the car. I stopped by the orphanage and left the cabin, Kay and Mary, with Miss Clark. "And will you call Jerry for me to say goodbye to him? I do not know where he is," she said. "I am afraid he is not well. He did not eat his dinner this noon." One of the other boys said, him going over he ill into the laurel. It is not like him." I was almost relieved. It would be easier not to say goodbye to him. I said I wanted to tell with you about his mother, why he is here, but I am in more of a hurry than expected to be. It is out of the question for me to see her now. But here's some money to buy things for him at Christmas and on his birthday. It will be better than for you to try to send him things. I could I could so easily duplicate skits for instance. She blanket her honest spinster as there's not much use for skates here. She said her stupidity annoyed me. What I mean, I said is that I do not want to duplicate the things his mother sends him. Welcome to Narrator Noman.